Welcome to a CakeLove Podcast. Today we're doing yellow butter cake. Kind of a funny name, I think, because it's vanilla cake, but it's yellow because it uses egg yolks and whites, okay? Not just egg whites, that would make it white cake. So 4.5 quart bowl, flat paddle with 6 ounces of butter. I pre-measured everything. So our butter is unsalted, 6 ounces. This is our sugar, right? Extra fine granulated sugar. I want to make sure that I have nice small granules of the sugar because they're going to mix with the butter to bring in a lot of air. So what we're going to see is the butter and the sugar kind of dancing apart from each other, not wanting to get with one another. After that, it's going to just kind of ride right on the beater. Following that, it's going to begin to come off the beater and coat the side of the bowl. What's going on is that the sugar is driving into the butter. In the wake of the sugar crystal is a little bit of air, and that helps to just kind of add mass to the whole thing. That's what we want. That air gives us lightness, gives us texture, gives us the crumb that we're looking for in the cake. So it's really important to not go fast when we're creaming butter and sugar. Our eggs, okay? We got 4 of them. They're going to be size large eggs. When you're baking, standard eggs I always get is the large size. That's because it's got the same amount of egg whites and the same amount of egg yolks, like the mass is pretty much the same. It's predictable. Okay, our dry ingredients. First off is my flour. I want to sip because I want to break the flour up. Potato starch will help to lighten up the cake, give it a little bit of slightly sweeter texture, but mostly it's going to add starch bulk without giving you protein to the cake. Most people will bake a cake with cake flour. I like to use all-purpose flour because I think it has better flavor, and I like the structure that the amount of gluten protein that's in that flour. So really what we're doing is we're taking 10.5% protein in the all-purpose flour. We add some potato starch. Really then in the cake we got about 8% protein. Alright, so salt, regular iodized salt. We're doing 1 teaspoon of that. And our baking powder is going to be 1.5 teaspoons. The baking powder, when you make it wet and you add some heat, it creates carbon dioxide, CO2. That just helps give the cake a little bit of insurance from falling. My dry ingredients, I'm going to take a whisk and just gently stir to combine. I don't want my mixer to have to do too much work, so I'm going to help it out. Okay, so my liquid ingredients, what's going on there? Not too much, all right? I'm using half and half. I want to use the half and half because I like the amount of liquid and the amount of fat that comes with it. Milk to me is a little too thin, plus some vanilla and some brandy. All right, now we're gonna put it all together. I've got eggs. They're going in one at a time, right? I'm not gonna rush at this stage. It's gonna be a little slow. Let the egg work itself in. Don't go quickly. When I start adding these dry ingredients, I'll move fast. I don't want to have any kind of undue delay. And that's mostly because this gluten that's in the flour, I don't want that to activate too much. Overactivate, become too present. Some recipes will say, okay, add your dry, wait for that to be fully incorporated, and then add your wet ingredients. No, I say just add dry, then add wet, add dry, add wet, move swiftly through your addition of ingredients. All right. Now that it's all in there, I'm going to scrape down the side of the bowl now. Can you see up close? See how we have some butter and sugar still in big clumps there? See that? Okay. Always happens. Always happens. It's kind of unavoidable that you get these spots within your mixer where you don't have the proper mixing. That's why you gotta scrape. And once I've done that, I'm gonna mix it. I'll give it like 30 seconds or so. I'm gonna lightly spray my pan to make sure that any of the crowns of my cupcakes don't stick. Just my cupcake papers are like for 2-ounce cupcakes. You might notice how the batter is just pulling apart a little bit. Looks like it's separating. That means that the batter structure is like just at that point where it's got a lot of liquid and not too much flour and a good amount of butter. You know, it's like has like the maximum amount that it can hold up in balance before it'll just kind of break apart. The trigger release ice cream scooper is really great. Okay, gives you the precise amount of batter that you want to deposit. And I'm just going right into the center. If you're using a convection oven, I'd say about 335 degrees. We'll talk about the visual cues you look for when they bake. Okay, cool. All right, so what are we looking at, right? Visual cues. Nice golden brown edges, that's great. All right, we're gonna tap it. It's not depressing, that's even better. And the final thing is just a skewer test. It's just skewered to see if there's any crumbs sticking to it or not. So here's my test if it's baked, right? And if it's cooled off enough. When I can handle the pan, when I'm, you know, cool enough for me to hold on to, then I'll start to look to depan things. So I'm just gonna gently move things off the pan surface, the crown. I wanna free up the crown. All right, and the best part about a warm cupcake, thanks for joining me making the yellow butter cake. This is on our cupcakes and all of our layer cakes at CakeLove. You can check them out online. You can see the other pictures of them right here at CakeLove.com. I want you to understand how much fun you can have in the kitchen when you're baking from scratch. It's not that hard, just takes a little bit of effort and a lot of love.